Hello and welcome to one of the rare occasions where you'll see me in a button-up. Just got done with a little meeting that required me to put on my CPA hat, and I just wanted to jump right into this video because I'm excited. I've already written stuff up for it and just wanted to get it going. So today we're going to do some more book learning, and it's going to be on this book, Talk Like Ted. And this is all about public speaking, presenting. If you want to have a good presence and get your message across, have it received well, this is going to get into all kinds of great stuff about that. So let's get into it. Talk Like Ted. The author of this book is a communications coach for some big brands, and he used to be a correspondent for CNN and CBS. He's been a keynote speaker for some of those big brands, he writes for Forbes.com, and he did a ton of research on what has become kind of the gold standard for presentations, and that's TED. By the way, I probably shouldn't share this, but now that I'm off camera, that button-up came off immediately. Okay, TED. If you haven't watched any TED Talks, go watch a few right after this video. They're all free, they cover all kinds of subjects, and they are inspiring and insightful. The point of this book is to learn why they are that way and how we can do the same when we present, teach, or just share information. As a quick aside, public speaking is supposedly one of the biggest fears for people, so this book can really help. I am not like most people, in more ways than one, but specifically talking about this, I actually love public speaking. That's probably why I enjoy doing this so much. Right now I'm not in public, I do some of that, and I do some class-like settings, but just the same, here I get to talk, and you get to listen. It's fantastic. But as a specific example, I was lucky enough to be chosen by my classmates to present at my master's graduation. And I think I did all right then. I'm sure I was tolerable, but I really wish I had read this book back then because there's some great stuff in here. So, first of all, I've got to get my usual little plug in here. This is me. I quit my job to help you quit yours. And that's me. But as usual, I like to go right into a quote. And here's a quote from Carmine Gallo, our author. Science shows that passion is contagious, literally. You cannot inspire others unless you are inspired yourself. You stand a much greater chance of persuading and inspiring your listeners if you express enthusiastic, passionate, and meaningful connection to your topic. Now, if you're a presenter like me, this is obviously relevant. However, I think it is relevant for everyone. We all communicate with our friends, our family, our coworkers, even strangers. We communicate with them, well, here and again, right? But the thing about communication is that it's a two-way street. The words that I speak may not be identical to what you process. This book will help us be more clear and impactful with our communication so that message does get across, as identical as possible. The golden nuggets for today are going to highlight the 9 public speaking secrets that are covered in this book on how to give an amazing presentation. These 9 secrets, I mean, this isn't exactly how the book describes it, but they're kind of broken into 3 characteristics that I'll say. If your presentation has these 3 characteristics, it's going to be effective. And these are emotional, novel, and memorable. If we get all 3 of these, and each of the 3 characteristics has 3 secrets in it, if you get all this wrapped up into one presentation, it's going to be gold. Okay? So let's move on to the first one. Emotional. People can sense the humanity in others. And to connect with them in a presentation, it has to be clear that you are just like them, with some of the same fears and dreams that we all have. Now, obviously, we're not identical. You're not identical to this person, but we're all just people, right? And if you can make this connection, it really allows them to relate to what you're saying and therefore have an impact. The first way to be emotional, this is the first secret, is to unleash the master within. And there's one of my favorite masters, Yoda. This section focuses on how passion around a subject allows you to, first, become a master at it, and second, convey your message at the same time. Passion is contagious, and a focus on passion is something that I preach all the time. This is what my business is based around and why I encourage people to follow their dreams. Even though this concept is usually beaten out of us by the time we're 20, I am here to encourage. I believe, if you follow your passion, you will work harder and subsequently you'll be better at it than the next person. Plus, if you're doing what you love, what you're passionate about, you're going to enjoy it a whole lot more. And this I can personally attest to. Next, you must master the art of storytelling. This is deep-seated in our DNA. For a long time, humans didn't have written history, so lessons were passed down through verbal stories. Because of this, our brains have formed to receive information, comprehend it, and remember it much better if it's in the form of a story. Brené Brown, another TED speaker, says that stories are just data with a soul. So find a way to incorporate a story into your presentation. In my graduation speech that I mentioned earlier, I made a connection between the students' regular drinking hole and the significant amount of time we spent there, and our network as it would grow in the professional world. And to this day, I maintain connections with many of them, a lot of my classmates, even though I do very different work now. So don't forget about your network. Finally, you must have a conversation. This means delivering your presentation in a way that is comfortable and easy. Achieving this, however, may be a little counterintuitive. Because to get to the point where you can have an easy and comfortable conversation, you need to practice your content relentlessly so that it's just second nature. Once you get to this point, though, people will really feel drawn into what you have to say because it's so natural. It rolls off the tongue, and yet you're teaching something of value. Okay? Let's move on to the second characteristic. Again, this is how to make your presentation novel. This also has to do with how our brains are hardwired. We seek out new information because we are learning machines. This is how we survived over the millions of years of our evolution. Our brains got bigger, we got smarter, and we found new ways of doing things. But novelty is hard to come by. So how do we accomplish it? How do you accomplish it in your presentation? First, teach me something new. You don't have to be finishing your thesis in a doctoral program or something like that to teach me something new. So don't think this is any loftier than it really is. You can also just package something differently, or you could teach something old in a new way, just a different, perspective. By doing this, learning something new, or learning it in a new way, it gives us a new perspective, and in a way, changes us into a new person. Have you ever thought of it this way? Next, another big ask is to deliver jaw-dropping moments. Yeah, that is a big ask. How do you accomplish that? This one, I'll be honest, it's harder to come by, but it's worth it. The example the book used was when Bill Gates, in his TED Talk, released mosquitoes during his presentation, which he implied, he did not actually say this, but he implied they had malaria. His talk centered around vaccines, and regardless of what you think on this subject, his actions had an impact. These jaw-dropping moments create what's called an emotionally charged event, and people are more likely to remember it and your message into the future. So come up with one of these jaw-dropping moments when you really need to land home your presentation. Finally, novelty requires that you lighten up. I mean, this has to do with humor. Everyone likes a little humor because it shows that we're human. It can break down barriers, it can get people smiling, and open them up to be more receptive to the real message that you want to deliver. Just make sure your humor is appropriate for your audience. A few weeks back, I was in my favorite bar, and in walks the past, present, and future. It was tense. Alrighty then. Moving on to the final characteristic. Your presentation must be memorable. If you want to have any lasting impact, or you want your audience to take any kind of action, you need them to remember what you taught. The first way to do this is to stick to the 18-minute rule. There's a reason that TED Talks are 18 minutes, and research went into this. It's a balance between getting serious content across and holding people's attention at the same time. It also forces you to focus your material on what's important. I mean, how many meetings have you been in that somebody's just droning on, or I do CPE, any kind of continued education that you might do. How many 2-hour presentations could be condensed into 18 minutes and be just as effective, or maybe more so, because you don't pass out and drool on your desk? Okay, whatever. I'm rambling now. But the 18-minute rule is great. The book suggests that if you must go much longer, build in small breaks like videos, stories, and demonstrations so that you continue to hold people's attention. The next one is a mouthful. Paint a mental picture with multisensory experiences. Nailed it. I mean, I guess it needs to be a mouthful, as well as an earful, a handful, etc. This is because the brain ignores boring stuff. I mean, boring stuff does not help you survive. Again, this is kind of built into our evolution. But if you hit them with more senses, it's more memorable. Do me a favor right now. Put your hand on your chest. Do it. Feel your heartbeat. And think back to what we said about passion. What is your real passion in life? Do you think you would have more impact on the world if you focused your efforts on it, on your passion? Do you think you would be happier with your life? Now, I may not have just changed your life right there, but because of those 10 seconds or so, do you think you're more likely or less likely to act on your passion? I hope I know the answer, and this is just a demonstration of multisensory experiences. Finally, this is the last secret. This is the last secret of the last characteristic. How do you keep it memorable? Stay in your lane. Simply put, be authentic. Be genuine. Be true to yourself. However you want to say it. In general, people can spot a phony. And if you're a phony, they won't trust you, they won't learn from you, they won't even really listen to you. In our society, I think there's a lot of pressure to be what other people expect us to be. So I'm not saying this is going to be easy. But when you decide to be the kind of person you want to be, instead of who your parents, friends, school, religion, or anyone else wants you to be, things may not get easier, but they sure as hell get clearer. This is what I experienced a couple of years ago, and why I finally went full-time as an entrepreneur, to teach some of this stuff. I am a true believer in this, and if we'd all just be a little more true to ourselves, I think the world would be a lot better place. Okay, that covers all 9 secrets of public speaking. So to finish up, let's look at some questions to inspire comments, conversation, hopefully some action on your part. I would love that. All of us have some genius to share with this world. So what do you want to share? Here's a question. Number 1. What's something that you are emotional about? Number 2. How can you make it novel? Maybe what's already novel about it? Or how can you twist it and turn it with your own perspective to make it novel? And finally, how can you make it memorable? Obviously, these questions follow the 3 characteristics, and there's 9 secrets hidden in there. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and I can't wait to see them. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.